Hi everyone, it's me, Ferdinand the Cardboard Stacker, here at GAMA at the Peppermill Resort in Reno, Nevada. I'm here with Rob, a White Wizard Games. They released their released Star Realms and Hero Realms.
Yep, Star Realms, Hero Realms, Epic card game, and our newest one, Sorcerer, we're super excited about. This is our first big box game, and you get a lot in the box.
And so you previously you've only been releasing card games, right?
Yep.
So this is your biggest board game, I guess.
Yeah, so basically this one, obviously it does use cards, so it has a really cool card element, but we've combined some great elements from tactical board game style play as well. This is a complete game for 2 to 4 players. Everything we have laid out on the table comes in the box. Super high quality components, and it's at a great price point. It's $49.99 is the MSRP, and it's going to be available in stores in June.
Nice, very nice. So very soon.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about the store. I see here about this is a fantasy world. Looks like this is darker stuff.
So yeah, this is Sorcerer. It's Sorcerer takes place in Victorian London. Every player is playing an evil sorcerer, so everybody's a bad guy. The sorcerer, the barrier between realms is breaking down. The evil gods are gaining access to the mortal world again, and their descendants have been hidden among mortals. And with the barrier between the realms coming down, the sorcerers are regaining their magical powers. So the players are playing two sorcerers, and you are battling for control of Victorian London. So you can have so each player plays a sorcerer. You create a sorcerer in the beginning of the game by selecting one of the 4 character decks, adding that to one of the 4 lineage decks, and then finally one of the 4 domain decks.
So these will be shuffled together.
Yes, so basically we have these 12 decks laid out here. So for example, at the beginning of the game I might choose Tegu, and we have the Animist there, and then here we'll grab the Forgotten Temple. So what you do is you take the cover card, so I've got the Tegu card, the Animist card, and the Forgotten Temple card, place those in front of me, and I am now Tegu, the Animist of the Forgotten Temple, and you take these 3 decks of cards and you shuffle them together, and that's your deck for the game. So that's the entire deck creation process. So we've done all the work for you. There's all kinds of cool synergies in the various decks, all kinds of combos when you combine the different decks together. So you get a feel like a well-tuned trading card game deck with all kinds of cool mechanics and synergies that go together. But all you have to do is pick one from column A, one from column B, one from column C, and you're ready to go.
So it's going to be, and you have 4 for each of those columns, right?
Right. So basically, there are just out of the base set alone, there are a ton of possible possible decks that you could play, and of course, your opponent will also be choosing a character. So the number of different matchups is super high.
That would be 64 combinations. 64
possible combinations for you, and then your opponent's going to get one of the remaining combinations. So between the two of you, your matchup, the number of different possible matchups is super high. I haven't done the math on the total matchups, but you're correct. It's 64 possible decks in the base game alone. And of course, we'll have expansion packs coming out with new characters, new lineages, and new domains down the road that you can get if you want, which will continue to expand the number of possibilities that you have. So now you got your deck together, and you've got these cool little player boards, and your deck just goes here on the player board. Any cards that end up in your discard pile go up here on your player board. Over here you got a nice blue glass bead that tracks your energy. So to play a card, there's costs in the upper left-hand corner here. So when you play a card, you simply remove the appropriate amount of energy, take the card from your hand, and play it onto the table, onto one of these 3 battlefields. There are 3 types of cards in the game. There are minions, which will have an offense and a defensive stat on them, and the name here in the center. Then there are sorcery cards, which will have a little book over here on the side. And the sorcery cards, you play them, you do what they say on them, and they go directly to your discard pile. And then finally, we have attachment cards. Attachments have the name on the left, and they have offense and defense modifiers here. And when you play an attachment, you just slide it underneath the mini it's on, so you can see the bonuses. You can see the name over here, and if you need to reference what it does, you can lift up the card and see underneath.
Very nice.
Although after you played a bunch of times, you'll remember exactly what the Butcher's Cleaver does, so you won't have to pick it up to reference once you played a few times. When you play a minion, it goes into one of these 3 battlefields. That's where it can use its abilities, and that's where it's going to be fighting. So the game is broken up into 2 major phases. You've got the action phase and the battle phase. During the action phase, we each start with 6 actions, and we go back and forth spending an action. I spend an action, and you spend an action, back and forth until we've gone through all the actions. With an action, you can do a bunch of different things, and it's listed right on your player board here if you forget. For an action, you can channel energy. That increases your energy by 2, so you just slide your glass bead up 2 on the energy track. For an action, you can meditate to draw 2 cards from your deck, put them into your hand. For an action, you can cast a spell. That's where you take the card from your hand, pay its energy cost, and play it on the table if it's a minion, or if it's a sorcery, do what it says, and then put it in your discard pile. And then you can activate a power. Some of your cards, such as your character card, will say on the action : do something awesome. In order to do that awesome thing that's listed on there, you have to spend one of your actions to do it. And then finally, you can spend an action to reinforce. When you reinforce, you can take a minion that's in one battlefield and move them to a neighboring battlefield. So you can move your guys around on the table. We go back and forth spending actions until we both spent all our actions, and then it moves on to the battle phase. Let's say you had this guy over here, I had this guy over here, and maybe I had one other guy. So when you get to the battle, you do the battlefields one at a time, and when you're dealing with a battlefield, player going first in that battlefield takes one of their guys, turns them sideways to attack with them, and rolls dice equal to their combat value. So this guy has an attack of 2, so I'd roll 2 dice, and in this case, I got 1 miss and 2 hits on that one. The defending player chooses where the damage is assigned. So with the 2 hits, you can either put 2 on the battlefield, 2 damage on your minion, or you could do 1 of each. The dice, you can get a miss. You can get a single skull, which is 1 hit, a double skull, which is 2 hits, or a star, which is a critical hit. Critical hits, instead of the defending player deciding where the damage goes, the attacking player decides where the critical hit goes. That can be especially nasty if you can use it to kill off a guy. If a guy dies before he gets to attack, that guy just doesn't get to attack during the turn. So if you had a guy with only 1 defense left and I rolled this, that would be super useful for me. Okay, so then I've done my attack, so then you'd attack with your guy, and he has an offensive 5, so you'd roll 5 dice. And in this scenario, we got 5 points of damage. And I could assign it to my guy, so maybe I put 2 here, and then I can put the rest anywhere I want, so I'd put it on the battlefield. And then I can attack with my final guy in this battlefield, and I roll, and he's got offensive 4, so I'd roll 4 dice. So in this case, I've got 2 hits. Now, there's a couple ways you can control the dice rolls. During the course, at the start of each round, you get one of these little omen tokens, which goes onto your player board. And anytime you play a card which has a little omen symbol under its cost, you also gain an omen. And those omens can be used to reroll individual dice. So, for example, if I didn't like this miss, I could spend one of my omen tokens to reroll that die. In this case, I got a miss, but maybe I get it up to a double hit. The defending player can then spend their omen tokens to reroll individual dice. So if you don't like my double hit, you could spend one of your omen token and make me reroll it back and forth until we both pass. The other way you have to control dice rolls is the fate counter. Each turn, one of the players has the fate counter, and that passes back and forth between the players from turn to turn. That indicates that player is taking the first action, going first in the center battlefield and second in the 2 flanking battlefields. The player who has the fate token may once during the phase, they can flip it over to the empty side, and that forces a reroll on an entire set of dice. You don't get to select out which ones are rerolled; it rerolls everything. So that can be used offensively. I could use it when to improve the rolls of one of my guys, or I could use it defensively. If you get an amazing roll against me, I could say, "Oh, I'm going to use this." Make you reroll the entire set. So through these various counters, you get the ability to sort of manipulate your luck a little bit. So that's the battle phase, and then once that's over, you go on to the next round. All the guys turn face up again. Your abilities reset, and you gain some more energy, and your actions go back to 6, and you start over. And the goal of the game is to capture 2 of these 3 battlefields. They can take up to 12 damage on your side. When if you get 12 damage on your opponent's side of the battlefield, you flip the battlefield over to the ruined side of the city, put a control marker on your side of it. If you can do that to 2 of the 3 battlefields, you win the game. So your goal is to conquer 2 out of the 3 remaining battlefields.
All right. So I see there's 4 boards here. Is there for team battles?
Yeah, so you can go up to 4 players. So there's a 4th battlefield in the box set. So in a free-for-all multiplayer game, you have battlefields between the players, and your goal is to get 3 victory points every time you win a battlefield. Get your opponent's side up to 12 damage. Everything in that battlefield dies, and the battlefield resets to full health, and you get and the player who won gets a victory point in that battlefield. So you can have a 4-player game, and each of us is fighting the person to the left and to their right in that individual battlefield. And one of the really cool things about that form of multiplayer is it's really hard to gang up on people. So let's say, for example, I'm putting all my eggs into the basket of the battlefield where you are, so I'm putting tons of guys here, and your opponent is also putting tons of guys in the battlefield. You could take that round and just spend your actions to gain energy, to draw cards, get really stocked up for the future. Then when I win this battlefield, all my guys there die. Everything that's in that battlefield blows up, and sure, I got a victory point, but all my stuff died.
And then I can put all my stuff.
And your opponent on the other side did the same thing, and you let his stuff die. And okay, sure, you each got a victory point, great. But now you have a fully stocked hand, a ton of energy, and you can come out roaring into battle on the future round. So it's really hard to gang up on people in that system. You can also do 2v2 teams. So basically, you and a teammate, we could have this 3 battlefield in the center lineup. You could have a teammate, I have a teammate, and where my teammate plays stuff on my side, your teammates play stuff on your side, and we do that sort of standard side versus side battle. So you can play it either as the free-for-all, we'll call it Battle Royale, or you can play it as a 2-sided battle. And the game can, right out of the box, can support 2, 3, or 4 players. You'll be able to get additional player boards and additional expansion packs down the road, and those can be used to add more players to the game. The rules go up to 6 players, and we provide enough glass beads and all these tokens and such to fully support a 6-player game if you end up deciding to get those expansion funds.
Okay, good. Well, thank you so much for giving it a very extensive overview for the game.
We're really excited about this game. The gameplay is awesome. The art is beautiful. The components are super nice. We really can't wait to get this out into people's hands.
Okay, thank you. So that was Sorcerer. It will come out in around June, yes?
Yeah, June in stores, and if you backed it on Kickstarter, you should be getting it very soon.
All right, and where could everyone, the viewers, can find you?
WhiteWizardGames.com.
All right, thank you so much, Rob.
Thank you.
And see you later.